So, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Bubbles, the podcast about comics, anime, pop culture, and all that involves. As you can tell, we have a crowded room today. Ben is back. Welcome back, Ben. How are you?
Greetings.
Good. And we have a couple of special guests with us. We have Miss Laurie Calcaterra and Marco Defillo.
Yeah, it's okay, sorry. How's it going, guys?
I was afraid of butchering his name this whole time. I just said it perfectly before we got on air, and then I butcher it.
Yeah,
You give it the good Harvard try.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, and of course, you know Josh off air, always around. So, have these folks on because I met them at Arlington Comic Fest, which was a comic show here in the DFW area. Was actually a little better than what I expected it to be. But they were actually set up right behind me. We discussed a little bit about their book. I've actually read the first 3 issues. Quite excited. So tell us a little bit about it.
Okay.
Talk to us.
And I want to apologize to Terry, who sat directly behind us and heard my elevator pitch probably 45 times in a row, because that's what happens when you're constantly. Yeah, Marco just tunes it out at this point. But Path of the Pale Rider is a Western apocalypse comic book series. So if you like things like Book of Eli, spaghetti westerns, Walking Dead with a little sprinkling of Cocaine Bear, that's kind of what we are.
Nice.
It's a world. Yeah, thank you. It's a world where death has been broken. So your body can die, but your soul or your energy doesn't leave your body upon death. So we have zombies, but you're not your typical zombie where you're eating people or craving brains. It's just you. It's me. We're just stuck in our bodies as the body decomposes. So you're aware and trapped in your body. But as time goes on, your brain decays in its skull. So you lose your memories, you can become violent, detached. People lose their humanity as they decay. So it's people, animals, insects, fish. Nothing can die correctly anymore. So we have gone 10 years into that apocalypse, and we're with our cowboy, Jude St. Clair, who's the last guy still looking for the answer of why do the dead no longer die.
So when I was reading this, I was thinking, I don't know why, but talking with you and hearing your pitch, I was thinking, okay, Walking Dead meets Book of Eli type thing is kind of what I had. But then I was thinking, okay, Walking Dead, kind of the whole zombie thing, it's been done.
Right.
But the part that got me was not the actual human deaths or non-deaths. It's the outlying things like, okay, animals no longer die. So what does that do? And insects will no longer die. So all these ramifications from the food for the living, I was like, I never thought about that. But that made it, that is when I was like, next issue, please.
Really? It wasn't the giant bear in the first one?
No. Man, okay.
Usually
giant
that's what
bear.
gets the people is
Giant
the giant
bear.
bear that
Get it,
chases the
dead
rabbit.
bear. I understand the dead bear. I just, it didn't it didn't make me think until I thought, oh, cows. There was one line in it when it was like, what was it? It was humans don't like eating eating hamburgers that's still alive.
Hamburgers that still move.
Yeah. And I was like, whoa.
Right?
And
cows don't want to be butchered any more than people want to eat food that still moves.
Right. And
So
it was like, wow. And then I was really drawn in by your art. The art was, it was like, okay, this is really, really good. Because normally I love the colors of comics. That's why I think as a kid I was drawn to them so much. But as I've gotten older, I really like the black and white style because I see more of the artistic stroke as far as you're actually drawing. What are your influences? Where did this come from, the style?
Yeah, so my influences, it's kind of tough because, like, growing up, I watched, I think I grew up with most, like, comic book artists do, watch Saturday cartoons. I remember, like there's a picture in my head. I was, like, I think, 4 or 5, watching Dragon Ball Z, and I think it was the Vegeta arc that it was, like, Vegeta versus Goku. That stuck in my mind forever. Honestly, Dragon Ball Z didn't start until that. It was later on when I picked up the manga where I learned that Dragon Ball actually started with Goku as a child. But A lot of influences come with cartoons, cartoons and anime. I think it pushed over until like I was an adult. I guess I never grew up because I really didn't focus on my art until I got to college. That's the crazy part. I didn't really saw it as an opportunity, as a to go into art. But I took like one class and I drew one crappy superhero. But I guess the teacher saw something. I saw something in me. I was like, yeah, there's a school called Kansas City Art Institute. Walt Disney used to go there. Oh, but later I found out that Walt Disney got kicked out for smoking.
That's very interesting. That leads me to the next question. He says, tell us both a little bit about yourself. How did you decide that you wanted to get into comics? What did you do before then? I mean, how did you decide on this path?
I'll go take it.
Now tell us a little bit about yourself.
I think it was mostly I'm a big lover of movies, things, and I was like, what is my path here? I want to tell stories, but I'm not good with a video camera. I'm not great at like script writing, but I'm great at drawing stories. And I think that's initially what I want all my art to do. I think one of my professors, Kyle Strum, told me like something very pivotal to kind of my storytelling and doing art is like if your art is not telling a story without the words, then it's not working. You have to be able to tell the whole story on a page. And also my other mentor, Matt Fox, he would say each page has to tell a beginning and end. That's how it is. And that's how I kind of focus my art. And that's why I love storytelling. So I think I want to perceive that through my art, and I think that's how I got into it. I just want to tell stories, and art is my best opportunity to do it.
To piggyback on that, we have had lots of people look at our book and say, I don't even need to read the words. I can see what's happening from his art.
Mhm.
It's just amazing. You can feel the emotion. You can see the excitement, the horror. All that human emotion and connection is there before I even letter it. So my letters are just like the icing on the cake. I don't have to spend a lot of time building exposition so people understand what's going on.
Right.
Marco's art does that already.
It seems like you're taking a very sort of theatrical approach because one of the rules in movies is show, don't tell.
Exactly.
And it seems like that's the approach you're taking with your comic.
Yeah, we show them lots of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of production, that's my background. It started with martial arts. I've been practicing martial arts since
Really? Wow.
1997.
I
Yes.
never would have imagined.
Oh, she got some moves.
She already
Okay,
said,
so
"Oh."
I
So we know
practice-
who the badass of the group is.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
not us.
I'm always
It's
like
Laurie.
the man is kind of the distraction, and then I just like sneak around behind.
Well, did I have any influence on you deciding to become a comic book writer? I mean, your martial arts background?
Yes.
Seems like
Well,
something that wouldn't be connected.
Well,
you know?
here's how it happened. So I've been studying martial arts and mostly like weapons, like Indonesian style, Filipino style, a lot of weapons, and got into choreographing fight scenes for production companies. So I was managing a fight team in 2017 and was working for this production company in Detroit named Coattail Collective. I wrote a short film called Catfishing, which was just intended to be like our little business card, our visual business card. So you could see like we can do wall runs, we can do gun disarms, knife fights, we run people over with cars, we do all the fun stuff, right? But the production company was like, what else can you write? Do you want to write something else? And they were challenging me to do short form web content. So I wrote this series called The Agency, which has never been seen. And I wrote 12 issues of that. And I really liked it. Yeah.
That's a lot of issues, actually.
All like just came right out. Like it
Right.
was amazing. And right around that same time, I had the idea for this. So it's the script for Path of the Pale Rider is actually a full-length movie script. So, but when I wrote it, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. People were urging me to pitch it to Netflix, and I didn't want to do that. I didn't.
Interesting. That's
Yeah.
probably the reverse tack most people attack.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, give me that. I want a piece of that. But
That's what they strive for, a lot of them.
yeah, but here's the thing: as a first-time writer, I was afraid I was going to lose my creative control.
You will.
Exactly.
He's
like-
Blunt to the point. You will.
Speaking, like from
Speaking-
someone
yeah.
who has experience
Right.
Yeah,
with
but
that,
the trade-off is supposed to be you get a big fat paycheck.
right? Well, I mean, would I as a first-time writer, or would they bring in ghostwriters
Yeah,
and
I-
rewrite the
I
script?
guess it really all depends on who do you have representing you. Depending.
And that
on what
was the other thing. I had to find an agent, literary agent that could pitch my script for me.
right.
But again, without a pre-built audience, what would set us apart?
Well, the story obviously.
Well, the story is great, but still, I think, even like Bird Box was a award-winning book for a long time,
True.
but they didn't consider it until it got to a certain point in the fandom. So guaranteed butts in the seats is,
But would you be opposed if someone were to come up to you and say, "Yeah, we want to make this into a movie"? I mean,
no, I wouldn't.
So you're not
Um,
totally resistant.
I'm not totally resistant. I just figured that I was too new for them to even look at me.
It
Well,
has
you're
to be
never
the right.
too new.
Okay.
Because ideas, or that's what they're interested in. It doesn't
The
matter
idea.
if you're new or not.
Okay.
If the idea is sound, which seems like a very interesting premise,
Thank you.
that would be the thing that would be attracted to them the most.
Well-
Because that's what they want. They want new ideas.
Scoot over here towards Mr. Ben Dunn.
He has the
We can talk a
connections.
little later.
But I can also understand like wanting to be in the right situation.
Yeah.
Sure,
know?
you want to
Yeah,
have
yeah.
control over your
Yeah, for
idea.
sure.
Absolutely.
Right. So I've read comic books for a long time, and mostly Image is what I'm attracted to. I love the indie, the scene where they have the control of the story. There's lots of character development, and it's not superhero more. You can get into more horror or more adult themes. So my husband and I are fans of like East of West and Robert Kirkman things like, Walking Dead, Oblivion Song, Invincible, stuff like that, Saga. So my husband read the script finally. It's weird when your spouse reads something that you've written and they're kind of resistant to it. But when he read it, he was like, "This is an amazing script and it needs to be a comic book."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And a light kind of turned on, and I was like, "I think you're right." And that was back in 2020. So the script was written in 2018. 2020, we decided to start moving it towards comic book, and had no idea what to do. So fell down a couple times, but I think it was just meant to be that it didn't take off in 2020. The pandemic hit. I had other artists involved. We were cursed for a short period of time. Like trees fell on the dude's house. Like the other one had
Jesus.
coronavirus, and then his roof collapsed in his apartment, and then there was a shooting. Like it was just really all over, like bad news, right? So it all fell apart, and I took a year off, and I was like, if I'm going to continue, it needs to be with the right person. So I waited. I waited for a whole year, and I had a couple other opportunities to start with a different artist and chose not to until I met Marco.
Oh,
And we
how
met-
did you two hook up?
We met.
Well, so actually, it's a funny story because I was actually getting done with not done. It's starting with a book called Malka. It's with a writer, King Eddie. I was fortunate to do a short little 3 pages for Image with him, so it carried over. But his concept was also an apocalyptic world. So I did. He showed me reference of pictures of Hawaii that he wanted to present, and I drew it. It was a landscape. It was a certain street called King Street. Basically, I finished it. That one went on hiatus for a little bit because he was going through things and just it wasn't the right time for the book. But I needed work, so I went to a Facebook a group called Connecting Artists and Writers, and I was like, I'm going to take the opportunity. I mean, when you do these things, you have to take it with a grain of salt because not everyone's going to respect artists as they should respect it. So I did it. I got several offers, but then Laurie popped up. He's like, "Oh, I love your work." And I gave her and we talked for a little bit, and then I gave her my price range. And then she,
Usually that's when
Yes.
everybody runs away.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I was
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, that
I mean-
definitely is a factor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if someone accepts my price range and they're taking me seriously, that's how I view it. I hope I wasn't overpricing, but I think from what I've gathered from the people that I've worked with, I was actually underpricing myself in a sense. So thankfully, me and Laurie came to a deal, and then we started on this book. Yeah.
So you had no previous, You had no previous meeting of each other before then.
No. And it just so happened that we were both in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
That
it just
that
happened.
just worked out,
yeah,
right?
definitely. Because
It's even better.
if you have your talent where you can actually access it physically, it does change the dynamic a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah, and then we actually didn't meet until I finished the first issue.
Yeah.
We went
Really?
for signing, and then we did it.
Wow.
We met virtually,
Yeah.
Right.
video
Sure.
camera,
Video
but we
chat.
never really met in person until after. I don't know, we just didn't do it until
Yeah.
we signed.
So, yeah, that's really cool because that was one of the things outside of your speech over and over that I heard, like, cacophony in my head, was that, normally I meet, a writer, a creator, an artist or whatever at a show or a convention, and it's just the one person.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing you both was kind of different. And it's really cool because of the perspective that the writer, creator, and then artist puts. I'm always fascinated by, like, with Ben, his stuff, and even Roberto Rivera that I had on, the way both of them are kind of artists / writers / creators / kind of everything.
Yeah.
Whereas you, Marco, have to interpret her words or her script into this art, and then you have to look at his art and say, oh, I like this. I think that's how it works. I could be wrong. It could be backwards as far as but I know or I've heard that way back, like Kirby, those guys would draw, and then
Yes.
they would fill in the words later.
Marvel method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all these
Heard that.
these different ways of doing it.
Yes.
So what's your all's as far as God? I sounded country, y'all's. What?
You're in Texas.
Yeah, we're in
okay.
Texas. You can be forgiven for that.
I just call myself wow. So what do you guys? I guess what I'm asking is, what is your method? How does it work?
Well, that's interesting enough that you said that. Well, normally our method basically is she writes a script, I interpret it. It's still in the format as a play script, so I try
Screenplay.
screenplay, and I kind of format it to a comic book format, I guess, in my mind, or I take notes to kind of be like, what's important, what do I need to do, and then sometimes when I draw something, Laurie's like, oh, I like the way you did that. And then she makes tweaks a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mostly am a person who draws first and come up with the words later.
Okay.
So I do that, and in my version, when I try to write a story, I do, okay, let's see how this will look, and then I'm like, okay, this is where it goes. But in our method, I go from her screenplay.
It's pretty descriptive as a screenplay.
Mhm.
So he has a lot of imagery that he can see in his head, and he does a great job. And people were like, why don't you panel it for Marco? And I was like, why would I do that? He went to school for this, and I didn't.
Right.
Like, why would I tell him or put him in a box when he's proven time and time again he can do the paneling and express what needs to be expressed? The only thing I do is I go through and be like, okay, here's what's really important in this part.
Mhm.
This is important. We need to have, like, the locket or the secret or whatever that's there as part of the story. And then he does the rest. And he does thumbnails.
Mhm.
And then we'll go through the thumbnail just to see, like, what works and what doesn't. And like you said, most of the time he gets it, and I'm just like, these look great. And other times I'm like, this is really cool. What if you did this?
Right.
And I might throw in an idea, and it might work and it might not. But a lot of times he does all of that. He does all the visualization and creating the pages. And then as long as he leaves me enough space to go in and letter,
Yep. Right.
then we're good.
Yeah, she doesn't see the 100 ugly thumbnails.
I don't need to.
Yeah.
Why would I need to see that?
Well, I'm sure that as time goes on and you do more and more, collaborate more and more, you'll get a synergy between
Yeah.
the two where you can actually sort of predict what each one are going to do. When in the beginning, you're still feeling each other out, trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Try to figure out the dynamics, of the collaboration. And then, but once you get into that groove, then it almost becomes second nature.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I know the Adventures of Jude are carrying on. We're about to be issue 4.
Yes.
Which I think you were telling me is coming out soon, or you're working on what's
We're Kickstartering. Today's the last day.
Oh.
We have until 8 p.m. Central Time, and then that Kickstarter closes up. And then as soon as the money is dispersed, we will be moving forward to, how we do. We hit the ground running.
So,
We're just like, go.
So if someone wants to go to Kickstarter to look at find your project, what's in under the Pale Rider?
It's under Path of the Pale Rider.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yep.
cool. So everybody go out and support it right now.
yeah. So with that that being said, I'm a fan, obviously, of the book, but I can't wait for the next issue. Are you guys thinking about working on anything else? Or is there anything else in the works, or is there already something that
are you
exists?
planning on, how long are you planning on do you have an end game on this story, or are you going to just continue as long as
Marco's going to be working for me until we're 95.
Nice.
What a game. Just going to say, what a game.
Path of the Pale Rider, the first arc, because again, it was a full-length movie, is 12 issues. And then there's a second arc, and there's a third arc. There is an end. There is an end.
You
that
have
I
a planned
put
ending
down.
then?
Yes.
Yeah, all right.
There's an end. I have written most of the second arc. I think I have like 3 issues left of the second arc, which, I always say this, like, the first arc is crazy. The second arc is 100 times more crazy.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'm not joking.
So
it's
we're
nuts.
getting to Cocaine Bear level?
Oh, it's going to go way past that.
Wow. Okay.
So
Uh,
I had a preview for this next issue. It's gonna go crazy.
Five
Yeah.
is nuts. Like four we're kind of wrapping up the past. Like Jude, what made him who he was? Why is he so determined to figure things out? What trauma put him on his path?
Mm-hmm.
We're wrapping all that up, and then it's the end of society. We burn everything down.
Wow.
So, do you
Yeah.
actually go into what the cause of all of this is?
You will find out what the cause is in the if it's like, I think the third act, so like around 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
He does find the answer. The reader will know what broke death, and then it starts down. We develop that, and then it goes into the second arc.
It's very interesting. I only had a cursory glance at your work because he pulled it at the last minute. I better do a
Little
quick
surprise.
I better do a quick
Skim through real fast.
Surprise.
So since you wrote this as a screenplay,
Yes.
are you now, with that in mind, you had kind of your idea of where you wanted to go, obviously.
Yes.
Now that you're in arc 2, as far as writing, getting it done, are you thinking that, are you happy with the ending you have, or do you think, oh, I could actually go further with this?
No, the ending is the
The
ending.
ending is the ending? Okay. That
I
sounds,
actually admire because a lot of writers feel like they just got to keep going on and
Yep.
on.
No,
Walking Dead.
No,
Yeah,
I know, but
yeah.
that's the
Oh, yeah,
difference.
even that had an ending.
And-
I know, but it went on and on further
Yeah.
than it
I-
should.
There were
I
like
agree. I
17
feel like-
endings before
Well,
Right.
that.
you can't
Yeah.
blame him. You can't blame him. He had
No, I can't blame them,
because
but-
he had a hit
but at some
show
point-
on TV.
And I
So
think
many
that's what I
spin-offs.
love
Yeah.
about the independent creators is you have total control. You can say, yes, this is the end.
Well, and in my opinion, when it comes to a long series, as long as there's an ending in mind, we're always moving towards that ending. We don't have fluff. We don't have filler episodes. And when you get to that ending, you've had all this time to develop your characters and your world and your setting, and you get that fan payoff. You get that emotional experience where people are satisfied with the ending because we've been building to it for 35 issues, 36 issues, right? In my opinion, it's a difference between the ending from Breaking Bad
Yep.
and Lost.
Yes.
Two completely long series, both people were very into, had big fandoms, but the way that they executed that ending was way different with how people felt when they left that
Right.
series.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously, your comic is a very story-driven
Yes.
thing, not as opposed to like a character-driven, thing where the character is what drives the story. But you obviously has planned out an actual real story with your characters, which is highly unusual nowadays in comics.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
which is one of the things that I really like about it, without giving anything away more than I have already, is there are actually some characters that steal from Jude is the highlight to me. It's like, oh, I want to
Yes.
know more
Yes.
about this or that or whatever. So it's really cool. And I'm not going to say this or that because it could be a person, it could be an ant. You never know.
You never
But-
know.
But it's really interesting. I just again, it's one of those things. So Marco, with you, I know you're involved with this a lot. Are there any other projects? Is there anywhere else folks can find your fine work as far as other comics you've done, something like that?
Oh yeah, I am a constant worker. So that book Malka I was talking about earlier, we actually finished it and kickstarted it, and it was released like a month ago. So I'm also working with Malka. It's basically a Hawaiian adventure It basically asks the question, what happens if you revert back to the past where Hawaii was isolated and now you have these tourists, these natives and other cultures that are stuck in this island? What happens? And the concept of the writer is that they become tribal in a sense, and we follow a group of people who are different batch of like natives, Filipinos, Puerto Ricans, just a different batch of cultures that basically are looking for safety. And that's I worked on that story. Malka, you can find it on my Instagram, which is just my name, Marco Defillo Art. And I know Defillo is probably the hard part.
Why do you say it like that?
Said your own name incorrect? What's
I
up
know.
with
It's
that?
like I'm up here stressing, and you butcher it.
Maybe you should just become a one-name artist.
Nobody's finding this Instagram page.
If I say Defi Joe, then people are gonna ask, how do you spell it? And it's like, if I
Okay,
say
okay.
Defillo, you understand there's L's at the end of the name.
I got you, I got you.
D-E-F-I-L-O.
Did
And
you see both Terry and I were like, what?
Now you tell us.
Big
Well, it's-
George Costanza moment. What's going on?
for the record, the correct way of saying is Defi Joe. You're correct.
There you
In
go.
Spanish, the double L kind of has a Y sound. So that's why. So it's Marco Defillo, Defillo, and art. I'm very easy to find. My last name is actually unique to me, is my family. So if you actually Google Marco Defillo, I'm the only one that pops up.
Nice.
Yeah, nice to be on top of
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah.
That's
And it's
good.
also my webpage. So just look Marco Defillo. You'll find
Awesome.
it.
Sweet.
Yeah, yeah.
But
So, can folks get commissions?
yes, they can. I mean, email me. The best way to email me, I just finished up with someone this morning. Just email me, and we'll talk about it, and we can do it. I know I was doing markups for Path to Pale Rider, so if you're
Oh, you're going to
into
do
it,
mine, right?
yeah. You can go
I'm
ahead
getting
and
a sketch cover.
Yeah, let's hope.
I was like,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I enjoy sketch covers. I enjoy sketching, inking. I think inking is probably one of the best processes because I can, fake a lot of things on the paper and make it look good.
Right.
There's a lot of things. But other than Malka, I'm working on a lot of little projects. I have my own project. I've talked to Laurie about it. I've showed it at cons multiple times. People always ask me the same thing. It's like, why haven't you made a story yet? I'm not the strongest writer yet, and I don't feel like.
I've
I happen
asked-
to know a
no,
writer.
No,
But
he wants
she-
to do it himself.
But she's worked on multiple. She's working on
Yeah.
multiple things. I
I
don't
am
want to put
working on
the.
multiple
How can
things
you
too,
walk?
yeah.
He
Wanna
doesn't
give it
learn
you
to
next.
crawl.
Yeah. But it's us. I love the word cyberpunk and I love magic and I put it together. In
I
a
was
sense.
like, I could give you ideas.
Yeah.
right?
I mean, I've talked to you about it. It's
I'm trying not to step on your toes.
Uh,
It's your baby, and I
it's
don't want to
basically
be
like
like,
a-
give it to me.
it's a bounty hunter and a girl that comes to this come from a small community into this big city looking for something, and then she and her uncover like this whole corruption in the city, and it basically one's being hunted with the other, and the other one's being the protector. And I have the concepts on my Instagram if you want to check them out. I call it Cyber Dragon. I say this right now, but titles do change, so
Yeah.
it's not a solid thing. As a
It's
title.
awesome. It sounds
Yeah,
great.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question. I noticed that you do a lot of crowdfunding. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah, we've crowdfunded. This is our fourth campaign. Fifth.
All right. So
Technically, or
how has your experience been with Kickstarter? What kind of things have it taught you about building your own brand, doing your own comic? I mean, what are the ups and downs of doing a crowdfunding campaign?
We are so lucky to be in this day and age where crowdfunding is an option, because previous to that, you had to be with a publisher in order to function, in order to get your story out there. So Kickstarter is a great way for people to get their own independent comic book made without having to sign over rights, change the story because the studio wants you to. You could really do whatever you want and put it on the Kickstarter or Indiegogo or Fund My Comic. There's a ton of them out there now that can help people raise funds to either pay an artist, cover the print, or anything else you can think of. So it's great. However, people don't realize how much work it is. There has to be marketing. There has to be forethought into creating a budget. There has to be some semblance of what does your audience want?
Yep.
You
So
know
it's
what I
almost
mean?
like you're running your own business. with
Very
that.
much so.
Nice.
It's very much its own business at this point where social media plays into it as well. You have to have a presence. You have to have a way of finding your audience and continuing to grow, finding new people. I think that when we started, I set our goal at something that was, if looking back at it, it's insane. Most people, when they launch their first issue one, no name, their goals are like between 500 and maybe 1,000. We kickstarted for 4,550.
Nice.
And we were at
But in your mind, that was a realistic number.
in my mind, that's what we needed in order
Right.
to be successful, because we needed to cover Marco's page rate, and we need to cover a print charge, and we needed
Absolutely,
to
yes.
cover merchandise and shipping. And that's truly the amount of money it takes to make a project like that.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize
They
that
don't.
Yeah.
that's what it takes. you
Right.
know?
It's different if you are the artist writer. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Because they're essentially not paying themselves for their own page rate and time. What they're paying for is the print job, which is still hundreds of dollars. And so that's what they're trying to collect, so that way they can afford to print these and ship them not only to the Kickstarter backers, but also any kind, having stuff so you can go to cons, having inventory to take to LCSs, and trying to get your book out there any way that you can.
Well, I
Absolutely.
mean, apparently you were successful.
We were like
So-
100 and I want to say we were 107%. I think we ended at like 5,200 on our very first campaign.
Well, that's
Wow.
fantastic,
Um,
especially right out the gate.
Yeah.
Right out the gate.
You know.
And so and then I joined the indie community and had a footing there. I took over a podcast and found out really how insane that was, and how
Mhm.
driven I had to be, and that how great our product really is, and it speaks for itself.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, I could.
And when you ship the product, that gives confidence to any future projects
Yes.
that you have, because then they know, your backers know that you are reliable and it's a
Yes.
good product, and their second one will do even better.
Right.
I gotta say that Laurie is a multi-talented person. She does a lot of advertising. She's basically the publisher for their own book. She's done everything. She has gone. I worked with different writers, but Laurie's been the one that's been taking a step forward. She's got into podcasts. She has talked to people. She has walked into comic book shops trying to explain this book. It's a great story, but without that push, that determination to do it, it wouldn't have not gone 4 issues. And I think today we were at 6,500 for this.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right, that's what you want.
Yeah,
you want
yeah,
it to grow.
yeah,
Every
absolutely.
single one, you want it to
we
grow.
continue to
Amazing.
grow. And but I think what sets us apart too, I mean, our story is great, our art is beautiful, but how many other comics walk that path? I like to say that a lot because it's path. But we also have fan interaction built into our comic book as well.
Oh yeah, you made she's.
I turned it into something
yeah,
else,
she,
right?
she,
Well,
she-
that's important. You want to engage your readers so that they can become part of what you're creating.
Exactly.
If they feel like there's some agency with that, what they have with it, then they'll be more inclined to be part of that.
Mhm.
Cool. So, Laurie, before we get out of here, I want you to be able to talk about anything else that you're doing right now.
Yes.
And I want you to tell everyone where they can get this book.
Gotcha. So the other things that I'm currently working on, I'm helping other creators, artists, write their scripts and write their stories. So I'm involved with William Russell. He has a series called Psycho Sal,
Yes.
which is a serial killer in the 80s in New Orleans. And his series is interesting because every 3 issues, and it's a 9-issue run, every 3 issues they change perspective in the story. The time is still moving forward, but the first 3 issues are written from the FBI, the homicide department trying to catch this guy, and they gather information. They really have nothing. 4, 5, and 6 I wrote, and that's from a female victim's point of view. And then 7, 8, and 9, I was just talking with William Russell. He's going to bring back the writer from the first 3 and incorporate me as well. So we're going to co-write 7, 8, and 9
Sweet.
from the serial killer's point of view.
Wow, that's
So-
really
Sounds
cool.
very interesting.
It's cool. I just got involved with another project. There's a gentleman named Rich Parada who was an inker for DC in the 90s. He did a lot of work on Batman. And he has a series called Incantessi, which is really interesting. It's magic from movement, so like ballet-driven magic with time travel.
Okay.
So I was like,
Different.
tell me more.
Yeah.
And when he told me like his canon and what he was planning to do with it, it started all these wheels turning, and I just ran with it. So he wrote 1 and 2, I wrote 4, 5, and 6, and I wrote another 6 to kind of end his series. So it's big.
Awesome.
But I just have to write it, and then he has to bring it to life. It's not my job.
Fantastic.
And you ask why I haven't asked her to help me out with my script.
Yeah,
I can
right.
totally help.
Yeah,
I
she
can
can
help.
obviously can
I am
multitask.
super busy. Yeah.
All right. So,
Yeah, I mean, we're just as busy as
Yeah.
each other. That's the
Wonderful.
thing. And like every now and again, we're like, "Want to go to a con?" Like, we'll go to a con together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get to do that together too.
Well, that's actually very generous of you to do that, to give your time and your talent
Yep.
to help other writers, and other creators.
Yeah.
That's something that's really needs to be seen more of.
It's great to collaborate, and it helps the both of us because a lot of times artists have a great idea for a story and they write 2 issues and they're like, I wrote myself into a corner and I don't know what to do.
Right.
And that's where I come in. I'm like, okay, tell me how everything works. And
You're
then
like
I
a
can
fixer.
Take it. Yeah, I will fix it. I will fix it. Right. And then I get to get out of my own creative box. So Path is very much horror Western, psychological, huge world. And then like I can go into 80s slasher mode, and then I can go into ballerina time travel. It gives me a few different avenues to be creative, and I love it.
Sweet.
So
Sounds like you're very flexible.
I like to
Absolutely.
do that. It helps my creative juices flow and be, push myself to do more and be better.
Awesome.
That's excellent.
So where can our listeners and viewers find Path of the Pale Rider?
Today is October 16th. If you're listening to this and it's October 16th, you can go to Kickstarter, type in Path of the Pale Rider. You're going to find the live campaign is for issues 1 through 4, and it goes until 8 p.m. Central. Yes, 8 p.m. Central tonight. You can get on board. You can get issues 1 through 4. We have a choose your own adventure book. You can check out the fan interactive stuff like the riddles and the short films. I'm working on the short film for issue number 4 right now. It's going to be a blast. I'm not going to say anything. It's funny. But if you missed the campaign, we do have a website. It's www.pathofthepalerider.com. You can pick up all of the issues that are published on the website. We're in Titan Comics, Carpe Diem Comics. What's the other ones? There's one in
I saw
Michigan.
you on Webtoons.
We're on Webtoons. We're on
Geek
Global Comics. We're in Geek Out. Thank you. We're kind of all over the place. So
Awesome.
Well, good. You want
Wonderful.
maximum reach.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great.
So there's a new store we're going to be in after this campaign in Kansas City, Missouri. I picked up a new store.
Sweet. Well,
Wonderful.
well, we will get you in more stores.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's between I know a lot of people, so I'm trying to talk about folks who guests I had on last week. Or Roberto, I'm helping him get his book out there, going kind of marketing for him. Hey, have you heard this book? Maybe you should carry it because I'm in comic book stores all the time.
Yeah.
I know a lot of the owners just from going in all the time. Hey, what's new?
Cool.
What can I buy? What can I get a deal?
Yeah.
So so outside of that, we're gonna have to wrap up here here pretty soon. But I want you both to give, if you don't mind, your socials, where people can follow you. I see what's coming up, different projects, because I know they may want to say, oh, Psycho Sal, let me follow her for that, or
Yeah.
whatever. So let's see, what are your socials? How do they find you, Marco?
So my socials are all connected to the same name. So it's Marco Defillo, Defillo, sorry. Let me do that again. So it's Marco Defillo Art. That we basically will find my Instagram. You can also, if you Google that, you'll probably find my website, which is just Marco Defillo without the art. See, I'm stuck.
He doesn't know how to
You're
do
good,
his
you're
own
good,
name
you're
now.
good,
This is
you're
I'm
good.
saying nothing.
You're just confusing him.
Yeah, it's like as I say Defillo, and I mean I want y'all to find it, but if I say Marco Defillo, if someone doesn't hear me spell it out, it's not gonna find it.
Is there a G in there?
No, it's just it's like Defillo, and the L in Spanish is not the same sound. It creates a
You should
different.
use a jingle. D-I-F-L-O.
Yeah, this is like, I mean, I actually,
Like, he's just
I
gonna.
want to get this started where every time he's at a show, I want everybody to come up and just butcher his name.
No.
Just butcher it.
Nah.
Even if you know it, just butcher it. Just
I mean,
get the
Bush
reaction.
I mean, I've been here since I was like 7, so,
So you're used to it?
I'm used to it. That's why you hear me say Defillo, because I
Right.
understand people are gonna misunderstand it. But to find me, just MarcoDefillo.com for website, Marco Defillo art on Instagram, and mostly those are the mainly 2 that
Awesome.
I post on. Anything else, just Google my name and you'll find. But
Yeah,
you'll
he's
find
the
me.
only one.
He's the only one.
Yeah,
Great.
only
I
one.
Googled it myself, and I
Yeah, that's interesting. You both have quite interesting names.
yeah.
Thank you.
Calcaterra, correct?
Yes,
Yes.
Calcaterra.
So where can we find you, Laurie?
Oh, I'm on all the socials because that's how I roll. So if you want to be in the thick of it, though, you want to be in the shenanigans, the polls, the fun stuff, sign up for like naming the watermelon when we bash it, slash it, whatever. We do that too. You want to be in the Facebook group, Path of the Pale Rider. It's a private group. You have to answer one question to get in, which is, do you like comic books? Which is super easy. Just answer the question. I know you're not a scammer and you can come in.
Don't answer.
If you don't answer,
the
I
question
don't let you
wrong.
win. So you got to answer it.
Or
Even
don't
if-
answer it wrong. You know.
Or don't answer it wrong. Like you can put in a funny answer, and that bonus points will let you in and give you a expert or something. I don't know. But I'm on Instagram and TikTok. It's at Path of the Pale Rider with an underscore between all the words, which I have regrets about. It's super long and annoying. Twitter, we're at Path Pale Rider. Threads, it's at Laurie Calcaterra. The YouTube is at Laurie Calcaterra 360. And of course, the website is just www.pathofthepalerider.com. I host 2 podcasts a week. One is on Tuesday. It's called the Tuesday Morning Brew. It's at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And
Is that on YouTube?
That one is on my YouTube channel.
All right.
It's also plays on the Madness Comic Network. I think on YouTube it's called Comic Talk with Pops Van Zant. There's a bunch of different channels that
Okay.
we're on. So there's that. And then on Wednesdays, I just picked up a new show, which is an Any One World Showcase. So we have a distributor in the UK. They're called ASAP Imagination, and they're wonderful. And they have this. That's their ASAP Imagination is like their own brand, their own universe, like Marvel.
Okay.
It would be like if Marvel had another indie comic
Cool.
section
Okay.
on their website. That's NE1 World, capital N, capital E, letter 1 World. So I picked up their showcase where I interview the creators just in NE1 World, which of course I'm a part of, and that's weekly on Wednesdays on the ASAP Imagination YouTube.
Man, you're a busy lady.
I told you, I don't
And you're
stop.
married.
And I'm married, and I have 2 kids and a puppy who's a jerk right now.
Jeez.
You must be a bundle of energy.
Yeah.
I drink
Yeah.
lots of
I'm
coffee.
tired just talking to you. And Ben, where can they find you?
You can find me at bendunncomics.com. I'm all those on the socials, Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, every place. I'm not as prolific as she is, but I'm trying.
Sweet. And of course, you can always find us at Beyond the Bubbles. That's on YouTube. We are on iTunes, and we are on Spotify. So please go check us out. Like, subscribe. If you like what you heard today, please like and subscribe. Let us know what you think. Give us feedback. I want to hear from you. If you like something, let me know. If you don't like something, let me know. But above all, out of this episode, please go check this book out. I think you're really going to like it. I totally enjoyed it. Again, it's one of the funnest reads I've had in a while. You know me, I'm not really big into new books unless it's indie books, and this is one that you definitely have to check out. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Marco, Laurie, I appreciate it. Ben, welcome back.
Thank you. Good to be back.
And once again, guys, thank you all for joining us. We'll catch you next episode. Thanks.